there. All right. So it's been a while. Um, Probably should film more in between the quarterly wrap up things. But it is July 1st, and my kids are gone. Well, for a little bit. I might have to pause and come back later. But they're gone right now. With my husband getting a rototiller, they're gonna do some work out there. But anyways, book related. This wrap up, I actually did film some footage. I went on a trip to Portugal and I formed some vlogish footage. We'll see if I get out a video or not. I forgot about that. TBD. Might happen. But this quarter, I have 8 5-star books and 4 2-star books. The 2-star books, I think most of them I gave it like 2.5, but they were like a 2.5. So I just wrote them down because I didn't have any 1 stars that I like hated. And most of the 5-star books were like 4.5. They weren't like perfect, but I really liked them. So they're here. So we will start off. We'll start with the bad books. Why not? So the first one, most of these books I listened to or ebook read. I've been doing a lot more of that lately. It's just easier with the boys. I can listen to stories as I chase them around, or else use my phone and read things on the Kindle app. But the first one was The Maidens. That one by Alex Michaelides. I had read, I think I have it actually. Yeah, I don't know. I read the other one by him, The Silent Patient. And I really liked that one. The Maidens, so I heard this from another reviewer too, Jessie May. And it was interesting. You were wondering what's going on, and then you get to the end, and you're just like, That's how I felt too. And so the end is what ruined the book for me. That's what made it a 2-star. It's interesting. It's in an academic setting. A girl is killed, found murdered, and then there's a series of other murders, and the friend of the murdered girl calls in her aunt, who is a group therapist, to try and figure out who it is. She thinks it's the one of her professors, and they're just trying to figure out what's going on at this school. It's kind of like occult-ish, but the ending is just wasn't a fan. The next one was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I had heard before. It's not as good. Don't read it. And it took me years to get to it because I wasn't going to read it because people told me not to. But then I needed a new audiobook and it was available, so I listened to it, and I agree, don't read it. Should have listened. But it's about, I always called him Cornelius when I read the other books and watched the movie, but Cornelius? I don't know, they said it weird in the audiobook. President Snow. He's the main character when he was younger. And the way they made it, it just, nobody in the Capitol was good. Like, I know we're not supposed to like the Capitol, but, like, there's no redeeming characters. It's like I feel like in the movies, and I think in the books, there was some bad people, but there was also some people that just didn't realize that they're doing the wrong thing. Like, I know that's not good, that's not condoning it, but they weren't outright evil. And in this book, everyone that lived there was outright evil. So I didn't like that aspect. I didn't like the main character from the districts. I don't know if you were supposed to or not, but I just didn't really like anyone. And it was a long enough book that, I don't know, nothing happened. 2 stars. You don't need to read it. I didn't need to either. Gideon the Ninth. This book I also avoided for a while because I didn't think I would like it. I should have also avoided that one. I guess that's the theme. If I think I don't like it, then I shouldn't read it. It's more of just the tone and the personality of the main character. I know some people love it and some people hate it. The character is, she has a strong personality. She's very blunt. She does her own thing. I just didn't care for her personality. The concept was interesting. Gideon comes from, it's sci-fi. She comes from a system where there's 9 houses and she's in the 9th house. And it's all about necromancy. So there's necromancers who train to use bodies and blood to control their powers. So Gideon has been raised to be a soldier, and she and this other girl who are kind of enemies in the house, they grew up together, are enlisted to go to this trial to try and win favor with the emperor, I think. But anyways, it's a whole mystery. Once they get into this house, things are going down, there's conspiracies, and I don't know. It was interesting, but it's too convoluted. I don't know, wasn't my fave. Then the last book that I didn't love was The Justice of Kings, which kind of makes me sad. A lot of people love that one. It's highly political, medievalish feel. There just wasn't enough plot line for me. It's a very character-driven thing. It goes on about the intricacies of law and justice and who goes beyond the law and who has power. The viewpoint, some people really liked the main character. It's told from the perspective of a, what do they call her? Like the secretary, I don't know, like the writer-downer of what happens to the justice. The justice is a man, he's older, and then the main character is a younger woman. I think she's like 24 or 22, I don't know. Adult. But it's from her perspective, and she's in training to possibly become a justice, but right now she's just the writer-downer of what he does. That's not an official term, but you know what I mean. And there's just not that much happened. It could be interesting once it gets to a bigger political scale, maybe. Just wasn't for me. I was hoping I like it, and it happens. All right, so that was all of the lower end books. I don't think, yeah, these are, I do 2 actual physical copies here. I do own one more of the top rated books, but it's at a friend's right now. So the first one that I listened to was True Biz. This one it was recommended by my aunt, actually. She is a ASL interpreter. So it's part of the deaf community. It tells about their story. Well, not about their story. It's a fictional book. But it gave a lot of insight into the deaf community, things I didn't really realize. It's a young adult book. So it dealt with a daughter who her parents had implanted with a cochlear implant when she was young, and it just never really worked, and so she never learned English language, and she never learned ASL. So she had virtually no language to communicate or know things. So she didn't do well in school. She had emotional outbursts and emotional issues and all that stuff, because can you imagine not being able to communicate? Like, mind-boggling. But so she finally, her parents divorced, and her dad allows her to attend a ASL school, like immersion boarding school type situation. And so it's her life there, how she grows and learns her new identity and the whole deaf community that she gains by going to the school. So it was very interesting. It was good. 4.5, because it probably just wasn't for my audience, but I really liked it and I learned a lot. So I highly recommend that one. Legendborn, it is a King Arthur retelling, kind of like a gender flipped King Arthur retelling at a, I want to say North Carolina private college, either North or South Carolina, over in the South. But this young black woman actually, she's a teenager, which kind of makes it a little bit weird because she's underage and the whole thing. But she's in one of those programs where, like, if you're really smart in high school, you can go to college early type thing. So they kind of just treat her as a college-age student, but she goes to the school and she gets in with these magical societies that she never knew magic existed, and then all of a sudden there's, like, all these magical things going on. and she becomes like a part of it, and it's a kind of political meets magical meets like race inequality situation. So that was really good. I think they mixed them all well, and then I got on the list for the second book, and it took me a while, but I did actually listen to that one too before the end of this quarter, Bloodmarked, and I loved that one too. So it just kind of continues on with the whole politics of everything that happens in the first book with all the different groups. There's lots of groups that kind of go against each other. It's hard to talk about without spoiling any of it, but it's good. I like it. And I liked listening to those too. They have a black female reader who does the different, like, not dialects, but like it's down south, so there's different speech patterns and stuff like that. So she handles that well, and it's good to listen to. What was after that? Oh, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. Got that one. This is actually a Book of the Month copy, but it was a dark fairy tale type story, I want to say. You'd qualify it as. It's modern, so it does take place in, like our normal world over in Washington, I believe. A rich girl, and then a, like, normal guy who, was he a journalist or something? I don't know, but he was kind of an academic. But he was interested in fairy tales, and he met her, and she's like this kind of, well, from the beginning, she and he both agree that she's crazy. But she's just intriguing, and he falls in love with her, and then the unraveling of their marriage, pretty much. And there's a mystery. There's a missing best friend, and they're like, what happened to her? I didn't see the twist coming at the end. It was good. It was kind of whimsical fairy tale, but very dark. They believed in fairies and magic in the real world, but took a dark twist. Like they kept the aunt in this story. She was like a nice witch. I don't know. Like she kept teeth, and she would do hair art for people. And it was just kind of the darker, more earthy magic. That was really good. I read this one over in Portugal. And then the other one that I read over there was A Little Life. Oh, I read a lot over there. Apparently I liked them all. That's good. Little Life. I did finish this one at home, I think. It's a chunker. This one's on my shelf for a long time because it is really thick, and it is, everybody said it's depressing, and it is. Like, you cry multiple times, but it's so good. Looking at the front of it, you don't really know what it's about. I thought it was going to be about this guy, but it's really about 4 best friends, 4 males who met in college and their different lives. So they're all very different people. There's like an artist, there's a juror, there's, what are the other guys? An actor and an architect. So it kind of follows them through college and then their entire rest of their life. There's some of them are straight, some of them are gay. There's a whole, it deals with everything. But they're just living their life in New York. One of them has, at least one of them, I mean, they all have hardships, but one of them has had a terrible, terrible life. And so it kind of goes back in time to find out his backstory as well. And the trauma that it caused and the trauma that goes forward through the rest of his life and how his friends deal with it and help him through things and support him. And it's just a great story of, I mean, it's not heartwarming at all, but it's a great story of friendship and found family and what it's like to be young adults in, I think it was the 90s or 80s. I don't know, but it's really good. If you can find the chutzpah, read it. I mean, it's over 800 pages, so it's a long one, but it's really good. Good Inside was the other one that I read on the trip. That one was an ebook. My friend recommended it. I read it for book club. But it is a parenting book. I really liked her style of writing. It gave a lot of examples. We read a lot of parenting books through my group. I think most of us are moms. And a lot of them like those self-help books, so we read a lot of those. And that one was my favorite parenting book that I've read. It teaches and talks a lot about gentle parenting or respective parenting or whatever you want to call it. But pretty much just gives examples on how to move forward and what, if your kid does this is a good way to react. Why things happened. So like it touches on like generational trauma and like why we get triggered if somebody talks back, or why we triggered when nobody listens, and what to do moving forward, and how to contain a child when they freak out and you would originally discipline them, and how to react instead to give them the emotional support, but try and correct the behavior type thing. So it was really good. I recommend it, by Becky. I don't remember her last name. I'm sorry, Becky. But good inside. It's a good one. Fast Like a Girl. Amazing. Every woman should read it. That's the other one that my friend has right now. I'm going to pass around to all my friends. By Mindy something. I'll put it up on the screen probably. But it is more than just dieting. It teaches you how to eat with your hormonal cycle. So as women, we have to fast slightly differently. So I've been fasting for like the last year. I would normally, like the way I was taught originally or learned was that to burn the most fat, you should fast for at least 16 hours. So I would just do, like I would stop eating at like 7 and then start eating it at 11, or, variable on that. And that works great for men, but men have just a spike of testosterone in the morning and then it fades, and that's just their normal daily cycle. But women have different hormones at different times of the month, obviously. And so you should fast differently according to those hormones to get the most benefit. And it's not even just dieting, it's just making your body function to the highest potential. Your body will feel better and you'll have more energy if you can learn to eat and exercise with your monthly cycle. So it was so good. It's not very long. I think it was maybe 200 pages. And then there's like recipes and like examples of cycles, and there's like a 30-day reset if you want to learn how to do it. I don't know, I don't really need to. I've been fasting off and on. I just need to adjust my fasting times. But if you've never started fasting, it kind of teaches you how to do a 30-day reset to get into the lifestyle. So that was really good. And then the last one is Daughter of No Worlds, which this one, you'll see the cover. I'll put it up there. The cover is terrible. I don't know. I think it's an older book, and the budget, the way they did the books back there were terrible. I went to pick it up, except I don't even know where I saw it, but somebody said it was really good, or a review said it was good, or I don't know. There was a blip of it. I don't know. But I read it coming off of Fourth Wing, which was also really good. It was 4 stars, not 5. But Daughter of No Worlds. It is about I had actually bought this one a long time ago on ebook when it was on sale, and it was just sitting in my library. But I finally picked it up after Fourth Wing because I was just craving like an easy read, entertaining thing. And it's totally like a Sarah J. Maas or Fourth Wing, or, one of those, entertaining but not super high quality. But this one is so good. Okay. It's not like literary genius, but it's so entertaining. And it has some depth to it too, but it's about a slave who gets her freedom and then goes to the towers where they have the magic wielders there, and she learns to be a magic wielder. In this world, the albino, I think a lot more albino people. They have a certain power, and then there's some normal looking, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but like other people in the other tower that are like sister towers. That are magic wielders as well. They have slightly different powers. The albino people have more like an intrinsic power, and the other people have more like external powers. But they kind of work together, and they are supposedly not beholden to any countries. or territories or whatever they are in this book. I can't remember what they call them. But they're supposed to be like Switzerland, you know, like not going into wars. And at this point in time, they're starting to cross the lines and go for the Arryn crown. And there's been some political turmoil, and she gets drawn into a war, and it's a whole big thing. But it's really good. She meets up with this, you know, big grumpy guy who has a past history and kind of delves into that. And, you know, it's slight love story, side tangent, but also it's just about her getting justice for her enslaved people and learning about her own powers and her own worth. And it's so good. Everyone should read it. Just don't look at the covers because they're bad. And we're on the second book right now. I think there's 3 books in 3 or 4. But I'm on number 2 right now. And that's another Kindle one. So I don't have to show you. But yeah, those were the top 8 and bottom 4. We'll see if I start making more again. More videos. I would like to. We'll see. But yeah, otherwise I will see you again for the next quarterly wrap up in 3 months. Bye.